21st was the end of the Mayan calendar. Yes. And what did something else happen on that day? We celebrate the winter solstice. Thank you. So this is a story about that honors that celebration in another way. So at the beginning of time, way back when, it is told that the earth, this earth, one whole side of it was sunny and bright, and the other whole side of it was very dark and in shadow. And let me just tell you that made things very complicated for all of the animals living in the darkness on that side of the planet. Can you just imagine what would happen with all of those animals running around trying to get things done? Well, they were just bumping into each other and knocking things over. They couldn't see. And let me tell you, one of those animals was getting specifically annoyed by all of this because he was the wolf. And the wolf, he could see in the dark. So all of the animals would come, they'd be like, oh, I feel something shaggy and fuzzy. That must be Wolf. Wolf, Mr. Wolf, tell me, can you give me directions to the stream? Can you tell me where this is? Can you tell me where that is? Blah, 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 blah. Constantly annoying the wolf. So, what do you think the wolf did? The wolf gathered together an assembly in a very large cave of all of the animals. And they were gathered about, and he said, okay, everybody, I'm tired of all of this bumping into each other and asking me all of these directions. And so, I have come up with an idea. I have a plan. Someone should go to the other side of the earth and get a piece of their sunshine and bring it back here so that we can have some sunshine here too. Well, all of the animals started talking at once, and they were all, blah, 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 blah. This is a great idea. Okay, so how are we going to do it? And then everybody wanted to know, how are we going to do it? Who's going to do it? Who's going to go to the other side of the earth? How are they going to get there? And all of a sudden, a little voice way from the back of the cave said, pick me, I'm here. And a roly-poly, round-faced, cute little big-eyed creature came running out to the front of where the wolf was. And it was Possum. And Possum looked out over this gathering of animals and said, I have claws. Do you have claws? Let me see your claws. I have claws. And I can use my claws to dig a tunnel to the other side of the earth. Dig, 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 dig. And so, the wolf and the other animals were like, well, that's the best idea we've heard yet, so, hey, go for it. And Possum ran to the back of the cave, to the dirt wall, and began to dig. Can you dig too? Help Possum dig. I mean, Possum, he's got to dig a tunnel all the way to the other side of the world, so he's going to need a lot of help digging. And then Possum came out on the other side of the world, and it was so bright. Whoa, Possum was just blinded by the brightness. And he took his dirty little paws and he rubbed his eyes. And he got rings of dirt all around his eyes. And then his eyes were really squinty. And if he squinted, he could look out and barely see. And he ran over to the temple where the sunshine was and grabbed a little piece of it. And for safekeeping, because he had this big extra bushy tail that could hold on to things, he wrapped it up, that piece of sun, in his bushy tail, used all of his 4 legs, and came running back through the tunnel. Ta-dun, 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 and burst out amongst the animals. Following close behind Possum was a big, big wave of smoke. And everyone started to panic. Possum, your tail. And they grabbed water. Let's grab some water. And they swish. And they threw the water on Possum's tail. And the fire went out. And when the smoke cleared, Wolf looked at Possum's Your tail is all skinny. And do you know that ever since then, Possum has had a skinny tail? And squinty eyes with dirt rings of dirt. Possum's attempt did not bring the sun to the other side of the earth. So, now what are we going to do? Well, suddenly a loud, booming voice from the back of the cave spoke up, said, "Pick me. I will go to the other side of the earth." And in, down came, prancing and preening, Big Bad Buzzard. Buzzard was beautiful and covered with long, black, gleaming feathers and a delightful crown of feathers on top of his head. And the animals thought, well, Buzzard said that he would be great. And well, what makes you so qualified, Buzzard? Well, I can fly. I can fly faster than anyone. And off Buzzard flew down the tunnel. And he swooped through the tunnel, and he came out the other side and flew straight down to where the sun was and grabbed some of it and tucked it right up on top of his head on the crown of feathers and began his zooming journey back through the tunnel, flying and swooping and coming through. And as he came bursting back into the cave, there was a big bunch of smoke and fire on the top of his head, and all of the animals grabbed water, and they took water, and they threw, swoosh, 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 and put out the fire on Buzzard's head. And do you know what is left there now? The charred feathers fell away, and Wolf said, "Well, Buzzard, now you have a bald head." And do you know that the buzzard has had a bald head ever since? Yep. Well, at this point, the animals are feeling pretty sad and discouraged. And Wolf, with his arms crossed, says, "So I had this great idea. Sorry, everybody, that it didn't work out. We're going to need to think of something else." And then he heard a voice from way up above him. "Pick me. I'll go. Pick me." Who is that? Who is that? I can't see you. I can hear you. And then, "Pick me." And down she landed right in front of Wolf. It was Grandmother Spider. And Wolf looked down at Grandmother Spider and he said, "Oh, no, Grandmother Spider. You're way too small. And you're really quite too old to go on this journey." "Well, you know that Grandmother Spider. Help me show what she did when she folded all her many arms. She folded them just like that. And she said, 'I know I'm old. You don't have to tell me I'm old. I've done a lot for these people, and I think I can do this, and I want to do it.' And so the animals agreed to let Grandmother Spider. But first, she said, 'If I'm going to do this, here's what you must do for me. Bring me a ball of clay. Wolf, go get me some clay.' And so the wolf, he did what Grandmother Spider said, and he went and he brought some clay for her. And she sat in the middle of the circle, and she chanted, and she molded that clay, and she worked it, and she worked it, and she pulled up around and around the sides until she created a beautiful clay bowl. And off she went down the tunnel. Now, it took Grandmother Spider a very long time to get there, because she was slow. But she was very careful. And when she got there, the sun guards were alerted because they could tell that somebody was trying to take some of their sun, right? Because there had been several people trying to take their sun. And they were fierce. They had fire coming out of their mouths and their eyes. And they're standing around, big guards all around the sun. Well, guess what Grandmother Spider did? She just walked right through their legs. They didn't even see her. She was so little. Sometimes it's good to be little. She got some of that sun, she picked it up, she put it in her clay pot, and she scurried back through the tunnel. And as she came, that sun, something happened. It grew, and it grew, and it grew, until it was almost pouring out of the pot. And it grew, and then all of the animals gathered around this big, big ball of sun. And she came popping out, and it bounced right up to the sky. Go boing! And do you know that to this day, Grandmother Spider, when she spins her web, she puts a sun right in the center of it. Yes, she does. And that is how we got clay pots and the sun.